In about 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, we're going to be joined in studio in about 25 minutes by Steve Millington. He's the chairman of the Twin Falls County Republican Party, and Steve is going to take some time this morning and have a conversation with us about a visit someone is making to Boise in a few days, and it may well be that we'll see an endorsement from Governor Butch Otter when it comes to the Republican presidential race. We'll have more details on that. I think he's been leaning toward this endorsement for quite some time. In fact, on the air with us last month, perhaps hinted at it somewhat. So that's on the way in a little while this morning. Also coming up later in the program, if we get a chance, there's a new poll out. I shared a poll yesterday with everyone about Americans' belief overwhelmingly that their government is corrupt, three-quarters. Well, now we have a new poll out about trust in government. The picture's not any better, let me put it that way. We'll share that coming up in the next hour. But first, I just want to get to a few things this morning right off the top that are related to this upcoming event that your local newspaper is sponsoring tonight at the College of Southern Idaho. I believe the program begins at 6:30. And if you were just listening a few minutes ago, just before we went to the Fox newscast at 8 o'clock, you would have heard the dulcet tones of Doug Mon doing a commercial just informing people it's taking place, I believe, at the Fine Arts Building. And there's enough room there where they can get a large crowd in for this event. Now, we've been critical of the event on air because we've pointed out that most of the people, in the view of me, and I think in a lot of people who are listening, the people who are going to be speaking at this forum, which is informational in nature, most of them have skin in the game. They need to see this program continue. There are no objectors, if you will, that will be on that stage. However, and I want to clear this up, but if you go to our website this morning, and you also go to our Facebook page, News Radio 1310 KLIX Facebook page, I don't do this often, but I think it was necessary. During the course of the opening minutes of our program yesterday, I talked about rumor. There have been a number of people who say that there will be busloads of people coming from out of town, specifically Boise, in order to try and show that there is huge support for this refugee resettlement program. Now, at the moment, there's no confirmation. No one has said, yes, we're coming on a bus, expect us. But this has been rumored, and then I got a note last night from someone who said the Democrats sent out invitations to about 140 people in the area telling them to come out. None of that surprises me. I mean, after all, if you're going to have an event like this, and you're going to attract a lot of people from other areas who want to have their say. And so that's what's happening here. A lot of special interests are glomming on to the event that the newspaper is sponsoring. It's not new. It doesn't happen all the time, but I've been involved in, for instance, the Tea Party movement, where we would hold rallies, and there would be people who would show up because they thought it was a good way for them to stand off to the side, hold up a sign, and get their message out, even though they weren't affiliated or they knew no one else at the rally. But it's their way of getting some attention. And I know that there are people on the other side of this debate. There's a committee to bring an end to this refugee center. They've been planning for a couple of weeks to bring out large numbers of people as well, and probably have a small demonstration outside before the event, letting people know that they're opposed. So you've got different sides. Each one is trying to bring out larger numbers. If you bring out large numbers, numbers are a story, but they may not be representative. We had a comment yesterday on air from Randy Staples about polling data. There is scientific polling data, then there's unscientific. We don't have any polling data on how people in the Magic Valley feel about this program. We just have people trying to bring out larger numbers so someone can say, I've got 150, you only had 135, so therefore our side obviously must be in the majority. Even though a lot of people who have feelings on this will not be able to go tonight, or will stay home for other reasons. So I bring all of this up because I put together a video. I do this, we don't save everything that we do on the air. I mean, some stuff is probably not as much of an interest to the public as others. But when I do an opening monologue, as I did yesterday, I saved it. And what I did is I uploaded that video to YouTube from the show. And then before I left here, even though I had explained that there was no confirmation that anyone was coming in here by bus, I put up a headline where I said that the newspaper was bussing in people. Well, the thing is, it's the newspaper's event. Indirectly, people coming here are coming because the newspaper is sponsoring the event. But even though I've used the newspaper often on this program as a foil, and we don't agree on editorial on a great many issues, that was not right. The newspaper is not, first of all, a newspaper budget in this day and age. If it's anything like a radio station budget, you couldn't afford to go bus people in, even if they wanted to. So it can't be done that way. So there are other groups, but the newspaper is not responsible for them coming in, if they come in at all. And so I posted this morning an apology to the folks, because I'll be honest with you, as rough a time as I've given the folks at the newspaper in this town over the last 8.5 months, for the most part, everybody over there has been very gracious to me. And we may have our disagreements, but I want to make it clear, and I want people to understand that there is right and then there is wrong, and it's wrong to say that the newspaper is actually sponsoring busloads of people who are coming in. So just let me clear that up at the top of the show today. 12 minutes after 8 o'clock, 47. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX, and as well newsradio1310.com, 736-0300 to reach our program. And you're up next. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Bill. I don't think there are a lot of people who are aware of the fact that bringing all these foreigners in, especially that bunch that Kerry is proposing to bring in, they're going to come here, they will eventually overpopulate, and we're going to be conquered by the sheer numbers of those overpopulated people.
Well, there's a story out at National Review I saw this morning. U.S. immigrant population hits record high of 42.4 million, and it's almost a match. The number of immigrants now living in America almost matches that of 1910, during the big industrial age boom, when we had immigrants coming in from Italy and Poland and Slovakia and what's now the Czech Republic and all of these various places. We have not seen levels of immigrants in over 100 years like this that we're currently dealing with. The difference was all of those immigrants in 1910 could come here and they could go to work in all of the factories which were desperately in need of workers. That doesn't exist here any longer.
Well, an American politician will not stand a chance in the next 5 or 10 years in this country.
Yeah, a politician who speaks up against this certainly won't. A politician who promises them the moon, sun, and stars will do very well, no matter what the cost is to the Treasury.
Yeah, well, okay, Bill, thank you.
Thank you very, very much for the call, sir. I was looking through this from National Review. Mark Antonio Wright wrote this, and he has some graphs here showing some of the details on all of this. Sub-Saharan African, Middle Eastern, and Asian countries saw the largest relative growth in immigrant flows. Immigration from predominantly Muslim countries grew at a rate of 19% between 2010 and 2014, including immigration from Saudi Arabia, up 93%, Bangladesh up 37%, and Iraq up 36%. Now, many of those Iraqis may have come here because they were supporters of the United States in its efforts over there, and because of that, now that we have left that country, they may be in peril. That makes sense. We have to do something for them. Canada and Europe declined as sources of immigration to the U.S. In other words, other English-speaking peoples, and many of them Christians, don't come here any longer, or apparently don't get the quotas to come here any longer, because they'd come here probably and meld quite well into the culture, and they wouldn't need government to play mommy and daddy. You're up next, and you're on the air with Bill Colley on News Radio 1310 KLIX.
Good morning, Bill. When people compare the immigrants from 100 years ago against the ones now, those immigrants wasn't given tax breaks, they wasn't given food stamps, they wasn't given all the welfare. These are not immigrants they're bringing in.
Those immigrants came in 100 years ago, and they went to work in sweatshops. They had no protections at work.